Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight another class in our series of classes on Sagittarius ascendant and Jupiter in the different signs. Tonight we'll be doing Jupiter in Aries. Also a very interesting combination. It's an excellent combination actually in astrology because they're trying to each other, right? They're both fire signs. Sagittarius ascendant is fire and Aries is fire. So it's going to give a lot of motivation, a lot of drive to the person who's born with that combination. They're going to be industrious people with a lot of initiative, a lot of motivation, a lot of fire, a lot of enthusiasm for life. It's a nice combination. Especially because Jupiter will fall in the 5th house, which is one of the benefic houses, right? The 5th house is the best houses in astrology. Astrologers consider the 5th and the 9th house because they're both trying to the ascendant, and they rule the children. The 5th house rules children, romance, theater, arts, politics, sport. Romance, all of those things are indicated by the 5th house. So when you have Jupiter there, Jupiter again is the planet of great good fortune, and so it's going to be an excellent combination for all those for that area of life. And again, it's trying to the ascendant, and you also have to look at, of course, Mars, because Mars will be the dispositor of the ascendant. In astrology, a lot of people I know, my teacher placed great emphasis on the dispositor of the ascendant, because that's going to tell you what eventually takes over the action of the ruling planet. So you're always going to want to take a little peek at, say you have Jupiter in Aries as the ruling planet, so since Aries is ruled by Mars, you also want to look at the influence of Mars within the horoscope. That could alter or modify the behavior of the Jupiter. But in any case, coming back to the Jupiter in the 5th house, it's an excellent indication because you have a benefic in a benefic house. So you have the multiplying effect. It'll be very, very positive. It's also going to be give an indication for all the affairs of that house, especially the sport. There'll be an interest in sport because Aries is very competitive, right? If you look, you're going to look at it, it's a masculine sign. Aries is a masculine sign and Martian, right? So the person who has it is going to be a go-getter. Is going to be very interested, likes to compete. A person who's got Jupiter in Aries, they very much like competition. They're very competitive. They want to be number one. They want to win. And so it's good for athletics. It's good for politics. They want to. It's a political comment. Remember, the 5th and the 11th is the political axis. Leo, in Adam Rishon's chart, Leo kingship is on the 5th house cusp. And Aquarius, the democracy is on the 11th house cusp. But they're the two political ascendants, main political ascendants. Besides them, Scorpio has a little bit, but the main two are Aquarius and Leos. And so you find somebody who's got a very, very powerful 5th house that they're going to be interested in politics to a degree, or a lot of planets in Aquarius and Leo. Tonight, actually, we're going to see somebody who actually was a very, very famous woman who eventually, she was an actress and eventually got into politics. And so in another minute or two, we'll talk about her. But just getting back to the general rule, there's going to be a strong influence in the 5th house affairs, and so you have to decide, you have to connect it with the Jupiter and the sign that Jupiter's in. So it's going to be in Aries, so you say it might be a tendency more towards competition. and things like that, and it might be an interest in politics, and I want to do a chart tonight. Actually, a very famous woman. Her name was Shirley Temple Black. She was one of the most famous actresses. She was a child actress at the age of 3, and she had something of a charmed life, more or less, because most people, women who start as actresses at age 3, by the time they're in their 20s, they're burnt out, and they've been through a number of marriages, and they're into drugs and alcohol and all of that stuff. So, but she had I would say, a charmed life, and a lot of it is because she has that Jupiter in the 5th house, and the Jupiter, not only the Jupiter being in the 5th house, she has 4 planets in the 5th house. And one of them is Venus, which is almost exactly conjunct, very tight conjunction with Jupiter. So she was very, very successful. She was actually probably the most popular movie star in America during the Depression, until the age of, from about 3 to 14, she was like the most popular actress in America. Then she retired for a while and came back into acting. So you see, she had a mother, or actually the influence of the mother in her chart. She has Jupiter in the 5th, and it's disposited by the Mars in the 4th. The 4th house, a lot of times, is the mother. And so the Jupiter taking over the Mars taking over the action indicates that she did what her mother wanted. And her mother was, worked in Hollywood, in the film industry. And she got her daughter to be an actress at a young age. And you see that she just had, she had a chart of an actress, 4 planets in the house of theater and the arts and acting. That's all 5th house affairs. And she also had Mercury there. Mercury is the ruler of her 10th house, is also there, and it's almost an exact conjunction to the Jupiter. So Mercury, coming from the house of career in the 5th house, is acting, right, in exact conjunction with Jupiter. A very, very powerful, very very bright woman also, right, because she has Jupiter, the ruling planet, and it's conjoined Mercury, 2 mental signs. So she was a very, very bright lady, very bright woman, very talented, very charming too, with the Jupiter there also. Whereas she has a ruling planet surrounded by benefics. That's a great advantage in life, right? If you're surrounded by goodness, you're going to be good. Everything's going to work out for you. On one side of her Jupiter is Mercury, intelligence, and on the other side is Venus, charm and grace and beauty. And Jupiter itself is very expansive and nice. And so she was a extraordinary woman. She had a pretty good life. If you look at her, right, she did have Saturn on the ascendant, which can add some difficulties, right? You don't like especially Saturn, but it's not too bad being in the sign of Jupiter again, and the Saturn is a very tight trine to the Jupiter, so it works good with the Jupiter. And so I don't see Saturn as harming her that much. She had a bad first marriage for a couple of years, but after that they see a second. You look at her second marriage, it's interesting, right? The first marriage is, of course, opposed by Saturn. People have Saturn on the ascendant, they can have difficulties in marriage, especially the first one. The second marriage is ruled by Leo, and the Sun, the ruler, is 10 houses away from is in the 6th house, which is 10 houses away from the ascendant of the second partner, which means he's going to be a tremendously extraordinary, successful man. And 4 planets in the 9th house. Excellent chart. And she eventually got off into politics. She became a diplomat. She was the representative of the UN for America for a while, and then she became a diplomat. She became an ambassador in a number of different countries, and so she really had a somewhat charmed life, I would say, right? If there's a difficulty in this chart, is a lot of masculine. The chart was a little bit masculine. It could have given her some kind of... she didn't feel so comfortable being female, I would guess, right? She had almost everything, except for that sun in Taurus. Just about everything is in masculine signs. But other than that, but she did have children, right? With all those planets in the fifth, you have to have children. She had a few children, and the second marriage, like I said, lasted 54 years, and until the husband died. And it was an excellent chart, a nice chart. You don't usually see actresses' charts that are so nice. And I thank everybody for listening.